So in an unprecedented move, Donald Trump announced his plan to take over the D.C. Police Department and deploy the National Guard in an effort to fight crime and target homelessness in the capital. He also said that he will deploy other military if needed to help patrol the streets. Despite his claims, violent crime is actually at its lowest in more than 3 decades, according to D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser. So despite that, do you understand Trump's drastic measures at all?
No, but it's typical Trump, right? And like with most of the things that he says, you always have to fact check. So I did a little fact checking for DT. All right, so he claims that DC is full of crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor. Okay, so he claims that murders in 2023 reached the highest rate probably ever. And when he was asked where he got that information from, he said, well, from the FBI. Funny thing is, the director of the FBI, who he appointed, Kash Patel, said recently the state's and U.S. murder rates has on track to be the lowest in history.
Yeah.
Get this, and the Metropolitan Police of D.C., the data of violent offenses in last year, 2024, fell to the lowest level in 30 years. So once again, you have a man who's at the podium saying things out of one side of his mouth, and then all the facts are contradicting what he's saying. Yeah. So just leave that with
And to be clear, the man is unhinged, and I am in no way in support of him. However...
Yeah, let's clap for his unhingedness.
Yes. Even though there has been, you're right, a decline in crime, Washington crime rates are unprecedented. In 2023, they've been described as some of the worst in a generation. Some categories like carjacking have been showing an annual increase exceeding 100%.
See, no,
I found this interesting as well. I'm just saying, like, I did a deep dive because I was like, I'm curious, where, you know, despite the fact that he's unhinged, what's going on? They have a police situation there too. Their DC police commander was recently suspended. Why? He's been accused of changing crime statistics. So I'm just putting that out there.
Loves that.
Wait, okay.
I just want to jump in. If Trump was really the president of law and order, and if that was really his goal, he wouldn't have released and pardoned every single person that was involved in the January 6th insurrection.
Thank you, that part.
Yeah. The worst violence that D.C. has seen since the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. in the 60s. So he's just making it all up, folks.
Yeah, and also the comfort he has with regard to speaking like the homeless as an entity outside of being Americans, for which you are their president, is deplorable. He's speaking about them intentionally like a different species, as opposed to, you would hope the leader of a country would include the people who do not have homes as a citizen of your country. Yeah. Like, even that alone, reading it, you're like, this is terrifying. I mean, it really does. It just gives me the heebie-jeebies on a level, and I get nervous when there's any kind of acknowledging it as truth or okay. Even just that piece alone, it's like, they're yours. You are their leader. Right. Help them.
But we know that he's doing this to distract, right?
Yes.
The Jeffrey Epstein case won't die, and it's made him look so bad.
Yes.
So you know what he's so good at? The art of distraction. So you know what? I'm going to get you to stop talking about Jeffrey Epstein. National Guard, come on in.
Bedlam,
right?
squalor, bloodshed.
I think that's a piece of it, but I actually think in this case, he's been like a dog on a bone with this. He campaigned on the fact that he said that Washington, D.C. was a, quote, nightmare of murder and crime. So he's had this on his radar for a while. But this seems to actually be the sort of final straw in a string of events that have maybe hit a bit close to home for Trump. So just last week, there's a young man, 19 years old, named Edward Korstein. He was a Doge employee. He was brutally attacked during a carjacking, okay? So photos around there, he retweeted them on whatever, Truth Social. A month earlier, there was a 21-year-old university student who was working as a congressional intern. He was murdered less than a mile from the White House. Again, someone connected to sort of circles that Trump would run in. So therefore, it matters to him.
So every time someone who's connected to Trump, something bad happens to them, the National Guard needs to be called in. We need to do a clean sweep of the streets and take everybody off the street.
This is where we
That seems a little extreme, and it also seems highly problematic.
Of course it does. No, but what I think is interesting for us to make note of as Canadians is how quickly we can go into politicians who will say, we're going to clean up these streets. Like, even right here in Ontario, there are areas that have seen a spike in carjackings. People have been like, what are we going to do? Shootings. Peel region had a huge uptick in 2024, I believe. So we want answers from politicians. And we want action. And we all know as sensitive people that fixing crime is such a multi-layered and complicated process where you have to go to like, why has crime been increasing? Why are people suffering from homelessness? Like those, but a lot of people will answer quickly to a politician who says, I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna send in the National Guard. So it's incumbent upon us to also ask questions when we hear rhetoric that it seems to have all of the answers, because somebody believes that Trump's doing the right thing out there. Some people in his base
these are the same people who thought
answer.
that ICE was a great idea until they start to see how they were snatching children and people at their jobs and people going to court and people who are actually contributing to society and just snatching them off the street and beating them and throwing them in places where nobody knows where they are and they end up in El Salvador or somewhere else. Everybody thought it was great until you actually see it. And I think this is a difference between Trump and every other politician, where I'm very nervous when he says he's cleaning up the street. Where are you taking those people? Where are they going to end up? And why did you get rid of all of the programs that would have helped those people?
It is that, but again, if we assume that what he is saying is true, and we all know and have established that the premise is wrong. The only reason why he's calling it an emergency is because that's the only way he can get around all the laws that would stop a president from acting like a mayor. The Washington, D.C. area is not his jurisdiction. You're the president of the United States. Aren't you supposed to be dealing with Putin and tariffs?
Epstein?
Why do you have your
He mentioned Putin too.
Of
He
course
was like,
did.
I'm embarrassed. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of Putin and I are meeting soon, and he's just going to think this is a mess. So, you know, he does like dictators in the way that they rule.
But exactly my point. He is doing this, and he said yesterday during that press conference to every other Democratic city, if I don't see that you guys clean up your streets, this could happen to you too. This is not about law and order. This is about a wannabe dictator who is giving the warning shot to every other Democratic city. Period. So, oh my God, can we build a wall?
Yes.
Can we build the wall? Yeah? Okay, just asking.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.